we can emphasize the importance of the 19th of July. Welcome, James.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. How important is the 19th of July?
Well, that is the deadline for every nation to send a letter, an official notice to the WHO to repeal the amendments that were adopted back on June 1st of 2024. But please realize that for 4 nations, the deadline is 8 months from now. Those would be Iran, Slovakia, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. And the reason for that is they took exactly that action. If anyone were to read the last couple of pages of the existing international health regulations, you'll see the letters that were submitted by those 4 nations. And what they rejected were amendments from 2022, which shortened the time frame for considering these, any future amendments. And so for the amendments that happened in 2024, 10 months, have nations actually held any kind of, debate or discussion? The vast majority of everyone on the planet doesn't even know that the international health regulations even exist. So thank you, for bringing this issue up and allowing us to speak to it. If you were to poll your viewers and ask them, well, how many of you have read the international health regulations, the vast majority of them would say, I've never even heard of them. Now, one of the regulations going all the way back to 2005 is like the most classic example of doublespeak, and it's Article 31, and the first paragraph of it starts out sounding very nice. It says, well, nations should not require documentation or vaccines or anything like that when people are traveling from, internationally. But then the very next paragraph says, unless the nation wants to. And so when the individual nation enacts rules, the international health regulations don't stop nations from being far more totalitarian. So if you clearly read Article 31 of the international health regulations, once you travel outside your country or someone outside your country travels to your nation, they do not have any rights. And they literally, it says in the law that they can be subject to quarantine, isolation, treatment, vaccination, and so forth. And so it's partly that the IHR is this business agreement, as your previous guest said, I absolutely agree, to funnel money into the new definition of relevant health products. It's got nothing to do with herbs or vitamins or minerals or homeopathic remedies or natural supplements. It's clearly only pharmaceutical products, and they added gene-based therapies. So say what you want about vaccines. The mRNA platform is not a vaccine. It's a gene-altering therapy. And these are the only things in the definition, in these amendments to the international health regulations, that they will consider using, during any type of problem.
What happens if the countries do not send this letter? What happens after the 19th of July in September?
For most of the nations, they are obligated to incorporate these changes into their national laws 2 months from that date. So that would be September 19th. Now, many nations have maybe already done that or are probably just, quite frankly, ignoring it. And what the problem really is that what was adopted were definitions of terms. So it's very easy for them to say, well, we just accept whatever's in the IHR. But the part, and maybe Philip will speak to this, one of the things that I feel is the most important thing, because in my view, and in the view of the review committee that put a report out back on February 6th, 2023, they had their own experts, the WHO had their own experts analyze the amendments that were proposed. And they said very clearly that the Constitution does not give the WHO authority to include a financing mechanism in regulations. There are 5 categories that the regulations are allowed to, talk to, and financing is not one of them. So Article 44 BIS and the last paragraph of Article 54 BIS, in my view, were fraudulently snuck in, because when the delegates were asked to vote, those new amended sections were not properly identified as amendments. They have a little code that they use. Any new language would be put in bold type. And those sections were very easy to skip over because they put them in regular font. And this is the whole point. They want to have this coordinated financing mechanism, and they have a very similar one in the pandemic agreement. And they're simply not allowed by the Constitution to have that be part of the regulations. Well, the question everybody should be asking is, how much is this going to cost Malta? Or how much is this going to cost any nation that is participating in it? And so every nation has until July 19th to just write a simple letter. But we, the people, can't write it. It has to come from, our head of state. More importantly is, I realize that most nations, their leaders will probably just go along. But we cannot allow this to happen in darkness, in secret. And so you having this program for us to be able to raise this issue and talk it out in public is more important to get your viewers to understand what they're trying to do secretly. Is they're trying to put this business deal together, restrict some of your rights and freedoms while funneling money in their direction.
But shouldn't the people be informed about this? Isn't this breach of human rights?
We have written to the Parliament.
But you are speaking about us, the people.
Everything's on the internet. People can go into the World Council of Health Malta. They can see all the letters we write. Our Prime Minister is highly aware of all these irregularities. We told our Prime Minister we're not taking any responsibility, and we totally disagree with any agreement that they are going to come up with. And we, as a Human Health Alliance and the World Council of Health, including Voice of Freedom, are standing back and saying, you do your part. We're refusing to agree. We are not going to cooperate because we can't accept the World Health Organization breaching their own constitution. And that is the bottom line. So if you, as James is mentioning, that they have broken their own constitution, the run-up to the final agreement is irregular. So how can our government agree to something that is irregular? And this is what we told the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister has chosen not to talk, chosen not to take action. But we are calling him out. And this is public awareness that you have just mentioned.